Hi everyone, my name is Kiko and I have been on a high raw vegan diet for over 20 years. And today's topic is what made me become fully raw. So I just mentioned that I have been on a high raw vegan for over 20 years, but this year something shifted and I am now fully raw. And I'm not saying it to say that this is definitive, that I will be fully raw for the rest of my life. But I just wanted to share with you that this year, pretty much since January, I have been on fully raw vegan diet. So in January, I had about 1 week vacation in Taiwan, and this is a trip that I have been wanting to make with my husband because we are both vegan, and we kept hearing Taiwan is an amazing place to be as vegan. And I visited Taiwan long time ago, maybe over 20 years, even, I don't know, like 25 years. And I heard that Taiwan has changed so much, and I kept hearing great things. So, anyway, we went there, and I ate quite a few fruits and raw veggies while I was there, but I did eat out cooked food. So, yes, I wanted to share that after that trip, I just naturally became fully raw. So, yeah. So, what I wanted to, so this year, quite a few things happened for me. I have published my first ebook for the very first time, and that was about my raw journey. And I have been wanting to publish this book for over 20 years. And ever since I became raw vegan, I said, this is like a life-changing event that I need to share this to as many people as possible. And the book was something I wanted to write for the longest time. And I finally did this year. And by doing so, I was able to connect with fully raw people. So the first bundle that I have participated is by Raw Food, Lisa from Raw Food Romance, and Chris Kendall. So I immediately became part of this wonderful fully raw vegan community. So that just made it much easier being part of the community. There are quite a few components to why I am fully raw now, but I shared it in the description that this time around, I didn't make too much effort to become fully raw. But mind you, over 20 years of being fully raw, high raw, this has been my dream to stick with fully raw vegan diet all the time. I have been on 100% raw vegan diet for maybe a few months, but because of the different situations, I ended up eating cooked food. So I'm gonna go over some of the details in this episode. So first of all, I love this term of high raw vegan because when I started raw vegan diet, a high raw vegan diet, we didn't have this term of being a high raw vegan. You're either fully raw or you're just in transition, or you're just not being part of the community. So I tried becoming fully raw, but I ended up failing quite a few times. And in the beginning, I kept failing to stick with 100% raw because I had quite a few addiction. uh, I had this eating disorder, and when I eat, I somehow cannot stop. And I had so much, I, my, I've gone through so much because of overeating. So anyway, having this eating disorder and food addiction to certain things. So especially bread. So wheat is one of the most addicting food. Uh, I think dairy thing, like before becoming vegan, dairy thing was very difficult to get rid of because it's all over the place. Yes. So the addiction part wasn't so much difficult as I have been on this journey for such a long period of time. But the social setting remained very difficult situation for me to handle with. So I was living in France for 4 years, and during that time, my husband is French, so and I was completely new. I didn't know the language. I didn't know the culture. So to immerse myself, I have gone out with my husband's family, his friends, and every time we have gathering, there's always food. So I think I have stretched a lot during this 4 years period. I have stretched a lot eating cooked food, and and then once even though I remain vegan, cooked food for me is a slippery road. Again, I have eating disorder history, and raw vegan diet works really well for me because when I eat even too much raw vegan food, the pain doesn't last too long, maybe 15 minutes or half an hour. So it was just much easier to deal with the eating disorder. But anyway, social setting was very difficult. And I ended up going to quite a few restaurants, and for a certain period of time, I was feeling okay eating cooked food. I was feeling heavy, but out of excitement of being with my husband and husband's family and friends, being in Paris, we need to experience a lot of new things, and it was just becoming a little more challenging to stay fully raw. So for 4 years, I have done a lot of cooked food, and I actually ended up going to quite a few vegan restaurants, which is very heavy. So what ended up happening with this is that I ended up having some health issues. And I've mentioned about ovarian cysts. So one of the first reason I became raw vegan was to cure my ovarian cyst. Over 20 years ago, I had a surgery removing a huge ovarian cyst, one the size of grapefruits, and another one the tangerine size. And my gynecologist told me that, Kiko, you could risk your life with this big cyst. So I had that surgery to remove that, and after a few months, it ended up coming back. And within a few months again, it ended up rupturing, and I was taken to emergency hospital. So, and not only once, I actually had quite a few recurring rupture. So coming back to my time doing this cooked vegan food while I was living in France for 4 years, I've noticed cysts were coming back. No, not the cyst of ovarian cysts, but I had cysts in my gum. The dental issues I started to have more and more. Also had like skin issues, and I thought it was just due to dryness or the water issue in France, because the water is hard. Here in Japan, the water is soft. So yeah, I ended up having much more drier skin, and I became much more sensitive to so many things. So, but when you are living in this new place with a new man, full of excitement, and you just tend to forget. I still ate a lot of. I still remain high raw, but cooked food in a restaurant was a lot more. I had more frequent visit to restaurants. So. Yeah, so social setting became very difficult, and as I started to introduce more and more cooked food in outing situation, I started to add more and more cooked food. And my husband, he's vegan, but he's not raw vegan, so he prefers to eat cooked food. And as I'm preparing for him, I don't want to make. I make a huge salad for both of us, but I ended up eating more cooked food at home as well. So that became more and more slippery roads for me. And yeah, fast forward this year, I've decided to commit myself to finish my book and becoming part of this raw community. And I just didn't think so much. I was coming up with some recipe ideas for my book. My book is not the recipe book, but it's about my raw journey for over 20 years. But I wanted to add some of recipes. So I have shared that. Yeah, being part of the community, and I started to make more interesting raw vegan friends all over the world. And now I have very dear raw vegan friends, close friends. And that just made it so much easier to stay raw. So this year, actually, so I mentioned about Taiwan trip where I ate some cooked food. And then in March, one of our friends was leaving Japan, and we wanted to invite him to a restaurant, or my then favorite restaurant. And this restaurant was very nice, like very light. I don't even know if they use oil. They're very healthy vegan food. They have the owner chef. They do their own gardening, and I think 80 to 90% of what they serve is coming from their garden. And it's very light, and it's very. I remember feeling so good every time I go to that. I mean, when last time I went to that restaurant. So I said, well, I was fully raw, but I said, well, this restaurant should be good for my body. And I went in March, and after that, I suffered in digestion. And I think for me to get back to where I was on fully raw, it took me, I don't know, it took me a week or so, I don't remember, but it was just very unpleasant situation. And ever since then, I just said to myself, it's just not worth it. If this one of the cleanest restaurant that I know, I have some issues after, it's just not worth it. I mean, it's a beautiful setting. It's in the countryside of Japan, and it is nice as an experience. But if I were to count all the indigestion and some skin issues that come with it, I realize it's just not worth it. So yeah, what made me become fully raw this year, it's over my going over and over with my mistakes and errors. And I said, well, that's enough. And I don't need that anymore. Yeah. So again, the high raw vegan definition is very interesting. This definition, like I didn't know until very recently. And again, like over 20 years ago, this definition of high raw didn't exist. Like you have to be 100% raw to be, raw vegan. And I don't know, like years ago, I searched on the internet because I started to see high raw. And I said, what is this term? Like, I've never heard of it. And I Googled, and on Wikipedia, it says raw vegan. This raw vegan Wikipedia page. And it says that raw vegans are people who are 80% or more, or something like that. And I was like, wow, 80%? That's pretty generous. Like, I think I'm part of that community. And yeah, that's what people call high raw. So I said, well, that's very generous. And I felt more at ease being raw vegan. And let's see, for again, finishing my book, that helped me a lot on staying raw, making close raw vegan friends, fully raw vegan friends, or high raw vegan friends around the world helped me. And we all seem to agree that when we eat fully raw, we do feel the best. I'm actually interviewing super interesting people who are on high raw or fully raw. And it's interesting to hear that pretty much everyone says that, yeah, I do eat cooked food, but I do feel the best when I'm fully raw. But, their reasoning could be quite different, right? So again, I wanted to mention about what is high raw, because I love this term because it seems to be very inclusive. But it's also like, how do you define high raw? Like, there are people that stays fully 100% raw, but they would just eat out on weekends or social setting, or they might eat out in a restaurant. And yeah, but when they eat alone, they will be fully raw. But there are people who doesn't go out to restaurant, but they would include some cooked food or like steamed whole food plant-based. Yes. So yeah, for me, I was doing both. I was going out to the restaurant because for the social setting it was just much easier. And then yeah, I know my husband like going to vegan restaurant time to time. So to accompany him, like I would go sometime with him. And actually, I have another instance. So when was it? I think it was in June, beginning of June. Some of my colleagues asked me, well, they wanted to go out and have lunch together. And this was a good networking setting. So I said yes to that. And I was the one who chose the restaurant. I knew there was a restaurant that serves like a good salad. And I've negotiated with the restaurant to see if they allow me to bring my main food. Like I would order salad, and I would bring like sauce, like dressing. And they were okay with it. And I was very clear, like I want nothing but just salad, raw salad. But they ended up including steamed broccoli. And yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal, but that was my last visit to restaurant for me, and I'm just realizing more and more that it's just not worth it. I had this conversation with Sky, my friend in Australia, and she's fully raw for the last 4 years. And she also mentioned that being restaurants food, like you have to be very, very clear. And I thought that was clear, but they ended up adding some steamed vegetable, and then I didn't realize. Yeah, it was just one or two. I mean, not a big deal. But I also another thing is that I also used to work in the restaurant industry for many years, and I know what goes behind the scene. I worked in um, I worked in many different kind of restaurants, and also in the fancy restaurants. And you do not want to know what's going on behind the scene. It's yeah. I mean, no, it doesn't matter how fancy it is. It's difficult to be super clean in the kitchen. Yeah, and also that's one of the reasons. Like when I really think about what the rest, what's going on behind the scene, not just the sanitary wise, but like what they would add in the dish. Like I'm vegan, so there are not too many restaurants that are vegan. So if I go to a non-vegan restaurant, even vegan restaurant, they might mix with non-vegan materials, because many of the vegan restaurant, especially here in Kyoto, it's catered to non-Japanese. There are not too many vegan people here in Japan. So being Kyoto, there are a lot of tourists visiting Japan, and there are more percentage of vegan tourists. So they cater to those vegan tourists. And yeah, so the restaurant owner or the chef are most likely not vegan, and yeah, they might not understand what vegan means. I was once invited to vegan sushi making, and it was catered for vegans, and they ended up mixing with egg. They didn't understand egg was not vegan. So anyway, like also honey is something that's very tricky for there are a lot of people who consider themselves being vegan, but they will still include honey. Honey is not vegan. So anyway, like I don't want to ingest those non-vegan food accidentally, because it already I had so many accidental restaurants meal that this year I said, you know what, it's just not worth it. So, I'm not sharing this for anyone to say, you should do certain thing. I'm just sharing my experience, and maybe inspire other people to do what they want to do. And so again, back to today's topic is what made me become fully raw this year. At least it's been just very easy. Like whenever I try to force myself to be fully raw, because we are living in this. This is how I had my first son. Okay. That's how I had my first son. Yeah, could you explain? Hi, thanks for joining. Goron Stone. Could you explain what that means? And I really appreciate someone is watching and commenting on my YouTube channel. And yeah, I see some people are joining, and if you can, share where you're from, I would really appreciate. I love connecting with people abroad. I was born and raised here in Japan, but I've lived overseas for many years, and my love is in now Kyoto, and I just love Kyoto, and I don't have any plan of moving anywhere. And yeah, so anyway, it's a nice way to connect with people from abroad this way. So I guess I was inspired to share this story today because I'm someone who has been wanting to become fully raw for over 20 years, and somehow whenever I push myself, I just could not. And I said this year was just very easy, but it's also because of all of my experiences that I have gone through since 20 years ago, right? I mean, I made myself feel so sick eating in a restaurant or even my cooked food. Like if I were to eat some steamed food, I could overeat myself, and I would even hurt myself, having this eating disorder. I just keep on eating. And I mean, my mom used to say, like, Kiko, I think you should stop. I mean, and she would look at me like, this is a crazy girl. And my husband also quite often say that, you should stop now because eating cooked food, I have made myself so sick that I had like acidic coming to my throat, and it was so acidic that it was bleeding. I was often bleeding on my throat, and yeah, I get completely stuck. Like cooked broccoli supposed to be good food for you, but if you overeat, it's never good. And also like steamed sweet potato, that's supposed to be a really good food for you, like grilled sweet potatoes as well. Those are supposed to be good for you, but I eat so much, but it would just block me, and I just cannot even breathe. So I would overeat until to that level. So again, I know that I do understand that becoming fully raw is not for everyone. It worked perfectly for me because of my history. But if first, because today's topic was what made me become fully raw, I wanted to help out some people are who might be interested in becoming high raw or even fully raw. And I just wanted to share my stories of what made me become fully raw. So again, social setting, I'm saying no to everything. Well, I also have my weekly cafe in Kyoto. I have I think it might be the only raw vegan restaurant here in Japan that I have. I have once a week pop-up raw vegan cafe every Tuesday, or if you want to come and visit me, you can check out my website, nama, nama.ovh, or you can find me on Instagram, Namado Kiko. I think Namado Kiko. Did I change that? Let's see. Namado Kiko. Yeah, that's it. So, so having a cafe is convenient because some people who wants to see me, they can come and see me at my cafe. And I have no desire going to any restaurant or actually, I have gone to restaurants, but I always get permission to have my full meal. Like I'm not ordering anything from the restaurant. Oh, and I will also want to share that I work as a tour guide or interpreter here in Kyoto because we have quite a few foreigners. And it's my hobby. Like I love my work. Today I had my work as an interpreter to make a knife. And this place in center of Kyoto, this is a family of generations after generation. I think they've gone over 20 generations of making sword, and they started with katana making, and now they make knives. So that was a Japanese knife making experience that two people from Switzerland came to experience, and I was an interpreter there. But sometime I would have a mission to be with my client for whole day or even whole week, and my clients wants to eat something local, Japanese food, so I accompany them. And if the client, if my clients need some help on ordering, and if they want to talk to me while they dine, I get permission from restaurant, if it's okay to bring my food, and I just eat my food in front of my clients. And I have done this many, many times already this year, and yeah, it worked really well. I mean, client, they don't care. They're happy to pay my meals, but I don't want to eat what they're eating. So, I leave them with whatever they want to eat, and I prepare my own meal. Yes. So maybe I can go to some tips on how to stay raw. Might not be fully raw, but it might be, including more raw vegan diet. So I think first thing is to shower yourself with how you want to eat. So for me, I've started with reading a lot of raw vegan books. So if you're inspired, I have shared my ebook on this YouTube description. And I think I have a discount code in that description. If you don't see it, please message me and I'll get back to you with the discount code. So I've read quite a few raw books to inspire me, and I also I binge watch the raw vegan YouTube channels, like Fully Raw Christina, Jillian, who interviews a lot of interesting raw vegans, Sky, and there are so many other people on the internet that I used to follow. So I binge watched that because I didn't have any raw vegan friends around me. I just surrounded myself on internet, with access of internet. I just shower myself with raw vegan information. Yes, so that's one tricks. And again, for me, writing my book, that helped me. Also having my raw vegan cafe. I know this is not for everyone, but I before opening my cafe, I've invited many people over for fully raw meal, and a lot of people say, "Wow, this is so delicious!" Not only delicious, but it's so good. It's so, and with whatever the age group, they all report back me saying that how amazing they felt right after eating. And even like those friends, some of my friends who came over to eat my fully raw vegan meals, even though they're not vegan or raw, they really appreciated my meals, and they say, wow, after staying at your place, I felt amazing, I felt so good. But it was just so hard to keep up myself, so they don't continue. But they were inspired, and they started including more fruits and raw vegetables. So I'm very happy with that. And having community is super important. And again, I have been part of the 2 bundles this year with my book, my brand new book that came out this year. So it was very easy to connect with like-minded people, people who have been eating this high raw, fully raw diet. So that helped me a lot. And my dear friend Bella, she is in LA. Well, she's moving to LA now, and she also says she's high raw, and she's hardcore on eating, clean food. But she used to eat out, the similar setting like me. And she even said that ever since she's been on this raw vegan bundle, she became fully raw. It just helped to be part of the community. So I highly recommend you, just connecting fully raw vegan people on the internet. When I wanted to, at some point I needed to be fully raw, and I had to limit myself what kind of information I intake. So like for Instagram, even I would unfollow those cooked vegans because I didn't want it to be tempted whatever they were showing. So that kind of shower yourself with how you want to eat. Or I'm actually not telling. I'm just sharing what I did. So yeah. What else is I've also had quite a few conversations with my husband. He's the he's amazing. He's very sweet and very very supportive, and he's by default raw vegan because I'm the one who's always preparing his meal. But I do. He likes cooked soup, so I do prepare some cooked meals. But he eats a lot of fruits and lots of raw veggies. But in the beginning, when I still had like food addiction, it was quite hard for me to see him eat like pasta or bread, and because those are the most difficult thing for me to get rid of. And yeah, I had to have honest conversation over and over with him. And sometime I had to ask him to just stop eating. He can eat outside when we are not together, but we are always together. So that made it a bit difficult. And no, it's not he doesn't have friends. We are new to we just came back to Japan like a few years ago, so we don't have many friends, and it's not fun to go to restaurant all himself. So but I have kind of stretched myself to eat out, even though I didn't want to eat cooked eat out. I was just sort of pleasing my husband. And yes, I love cooked food, I like the taste, but I knew the consequences. But I was just trying to please my husband, wanted to make him, he was new to Japan, so I wanted to make sure that he gets to, enjoy delicious Japanese food in a vegan way. And there are so many good vegan restaurants here in Japan. So we explored quite a bit together. But every time I do so, I always felt bad. I felt so heavy. And then over time, I started having like pimples all over my body. And I had like, like allergy kind of a reaction to it. And, I started to become resentful towards my husband. And then I've realized it's just not worth it. Like my husband would never, push me to eat certain ways. And he always say that, you can tell me, how you want to eat. And yeah, but I just felt bad for him. So I stretch and I stretch and stretch. And I said, this year, not worth it. I'm not going to do it. It's, it's making me feel miserable. Let's see, Mike, thanks for joining me. Okay, that title kind of threw me for maybe you're not raw vegan, but thanks for commenting me. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I understand that, fully uh, the title of what made me become fully raw. It's not for everyone, and I know, even just being vegan in the whole entire world, it's like maybe 2%, something like that. Mike said, I'm thinking about going vegan as well. Oh my God, that's so exciting. Mike, oh my God, that's so exciting. I think going vegan is like one of the best decisions I've ever made. And yeah, anyway, I'm definitely not going to tell you what to do, and I think you are definitely you know what you want to do, but I'm happy to be to inspire you, because there are so many people who help me. So I just wonder why you want to become vegan in the first place. So a lot of people say that a lot of people who became vegan, they all say that I became vegan because for animals. They didn't want it to harm animals, so they became vegan so that they're not killing, right? Participating in part of this animal industries. But raw vegan is so vegan for animals and raw vegan for ourselves. And it's one of the reasons I feel like all the vegans should be raw vegan, because I feel this is, you would never know how it feels like until you eat fully raw. And it's I became fully raw when I was when I was age 29, and I felt so good that I felt like I've never felt so good in my entire life. And it was kind of strange thing to say, because I was 29 years old. You know, it's the age that people start complaining that the health is going down at that age. By the way, this was a lemon seeds. I'm drinking my favorite drink, which is ginger and lemon. I so love this drink. This is my first thing that I drink when I wake up, and I get so excited to drink it every morning. So yeah. So anyway, if you are interested in vegan or raw vegan, whatever the way, uh, what many people seem to say is that go slowly. Uh, I've seen the pattern. If the people who wants to go, cold turkey, maybe not vegan but fully raw, I've seen the pattern that they go on, juice fast or water fast or even dry fast, and they just go crazy, binge eating, whatever, whatever they see, they just eat. And that's so harmful for our body. You have to be very careful when you do fasting, any kind of fasting. I have done so many fasting. I have done so many modalities of fasting methods, and almost always it ended up being so detrimental to my health. Um, yeah, so that's a whole another story that I could share in another time. But yeah, today I wanted to stick with what made me fully go raw vegan. And yeah, like I said, you know I don't oh I do know only one Japanese woman, only one Japanese who who is now fully raw, just like me. And we do podcast on YouTube every week. I think it's every Wednesday. Next week will be Monday evening, but it's usually Wednesday evening, and we speak in Japanese. But I put English subtitle if you're interested. We talk about we talk about raw vegan related, not only. But anyway, it's and she's a bit far from me. She has come to visit me, so we've met and she stayed with me for, I don't know, was it like 1 week or so? She stayed with me, and we had so much fun. And yeah, but it's very, very rare to find any raw vegans here in Japan. I mean, mind you, like even finding vegans in Japan is very difficult. So yeah, I'm very active connecting with my raw vegan community all over the world, and also I connect directly, direct message, and I have I'm very happy with my close raw vegan friends. That definitely helps me. Yeah. So what else? Now, let me see if I have covered something. Everything I wanted to share today. So yeah, I have been on the high raw vegan for over 20 years. The reasons of people going on the slippery roads of cooked vegan or junk vegan, it's first the social situation, and second food addiction. And I've gone through that quite a few times. And the toughest part for me was social setting. 2 years ago, I have invested in dehydrator. Over almost 20 years, I didn't have dehydrator, and I didn't feel the need of it, and I like juicy raw vegan meals, but it comes very handy, especially during the winter time. And now I use it quite often for soaking the nuts and dehydrating. Yeah. So yeah, if you're although my friend Sachi in Saga, southern part of Japan, she's fully raw vegan now, and she said she doesn't own a dehydrator. Just like me, almost 20 years I did not own dehydrator, and I was I have had a period of time, a few months being fully raw, so that's definitely doable. Let's see. Yeah. Another trick is stocking up all the foods. So I mentioned that I work as a interpreter and tour guide here in Kyoto, and for that, if I'm with my client all day long, I definitely have to have snacks throughout the day, and good lunch meal. And feeling hungry is the last thing I want when I have to pay undivided attention to my client while they are eating whatever on the street. I do not want to be hungry. So yeah, I make sure that I stock up not only my home, but when I go out, I make sure that I have some backup plans. Yes. And what else want to go to? Yeah. So another thing that I maybe I didn't cover is, in the first place, what is your goal? Is your goal to be fully raw or high raw? And why is that? Finding the why is very important. So for me, again, like I've done so many trials and errors that I knew it was just not worth it. Eating junk vegan food, or even cooked vegan food. It was just not worth it. for now, I'm just sticking with fully raw vegan because I feel good. And when I do eat cooked cooked vegan food, I end up having cysts in my gum. And actually, I didn't mention this ever on internet, but I had a cyst. Was it this way? Yeah, I had a huge cyst here when I was living in France, and it just became bigger and bigger, and I had a horrific dental issues due to that. I had a healthy teeth, but I ended up losing 2 teeth because of that. So that's why you see the color of this part is yellower. See, because yeah, it's bridge. I don't want to have implants, so that's the color is different. So that's one of the good lessons that I had to learn. And again, even if I stay fully raw, and if I eat like heavy, nuts and seeds and oily food, I would end up getting cyst here. I don't eat any oil, like no processed oils. Nuts and seeds. I eat chia seeds. That seems to work really well with omega-3 fatty acids. Walnuts I eat, but I need to be mindful because that could be one inflammatory food. Yes. So yeah, finding the why on where you want to go is very, very important. For me, again, it was yeah. I have gone through so many paths, so being fully raw just makes sense for me. So I think that's it. I spoke over 50 minutes. This is probably the first time ever I spoke alone so long. For whoever watched me until this point, I really appreciate being part of this podcast, YouTube. And now my husband is calling me, so I'm going to pick up his call. And thank you again so much for being part of my life. And, I really appreciate you messaging me and, commenting me. All of your messages I read and respond. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. And if you haven't subscribed, or if you like this video, please give a thumb up. I really appreciate that. And all the love to you. And see you next time. Bye-bye.